All right, welcome back, everybody, for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place for all of us. I'm Chris Wright, along with Chief Deputy John Garlick. Good to see you, John.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Doing well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it.
And we've got some good results again this week from our viewers.
Oh, yes. So we had four arrested. And you'll note that one of those arrested is Remington Johnston.
We're glad to get him.
We're glad to get him. That took a lot of effort with some information we were gathering from concerned citizens out of state, actually, and the coordination of a bunch of agencies helping to bring that together. But that man is back in the county jail, or he's in the county jail, and he's going to be held accountable for his crimes.
And of course, those crimes are what we saw all over the news a while back.
Right, double murder up there in Rabbit Town, that area. So sad thing, but justice will be served to those people responsible. So that's good news that he's off the street anyway.
Absolutely. All right. Speaking of getting things off the street, we've got some drugs we want to get off the street.
We do indeed. Drug Take Back Day is this Saturday from 10 to 2, and there's 3 locations. We're working with the ASAP people.
And we're talking about prescription drugs here, not your illegal
But if you want to dump
drugs.
those, we're happy to take them from you as you show up. But no, this is for prescription drugs because, as you know, there's a lot of prescription drugs out there, and they have an expiration date, and they go bad. And really, people shouldn't be using their prescription drugs past the expiration date. And so, for whatever reason, they don't use them, and they accumulate, and then they get either flushed down the toilet and get in the groundwater, or unfortunately, people can come into the house and steal those or misappropriate them in some fashion, and they hurt people. So we want to provide a clean and safe way to get those off the street, and we have 3 locations. One is at the Quintard Mall from 10 to 2, and also at the Walgreens in Anniston, right there on Quintard, and the Walgreens in Jacksonville, right off of Pelham. All 3 locations are open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday. Just bring your medications up there, and someone will take them from you. We bag them all up and
Dispose of them safely.
Get rid of them safely so as not to get in the groundwater.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the first half of this week's lineup, and we're going to let you have a behind-the-scenes tour of the Calhoun County Jail this week, coming up on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Randy Wiggins, Mr. Wiggins, last known to be living in Talladega. He's wanted on a probation violation of possession of a controlled substance. And this is Titus Sterling, Mr. Sterling, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for distribution of a controlled substance. And meet Kayla Ash, Miss Ash, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for writing multiple worthless checks. And we'd love for you to take a look at Olivia Mason, Miss Mason, last known to be living in Odenville. She's wanted on a probation violation of possession of a controlled substance. And this is DeCarlos Woogett, Mr. Woogett, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for distribution of a controlled substance. And meet Larry Sullivan, Mr. Sullivan, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for distribution of a controlled substance ×2. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Timothy Davidson. Mr. Davidson, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for writing multiple worthless checks. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, we'll have more bad guys for you here in just a few minutes. But John, we've talked on the program several times over the years about leadership Calhoun County.
We have.
And recently, the Sheriff's Office hosted the current class on Law and Justice Day.
That is correct, we did. They toured the courthouse and met with some judges, and then they came and had lunch at our jail facility, and then toured the jail and got to see some other interesting things.
We thought that the viewers might enjoy seeing what the Leadership Calhoun County class got to see, so that's what we've got for you today. We're going to go ahead and show you this.
Now that's our Captain Wood getting tased. Now, just so the people watching know that tasers are a less than lethal weapon, but they are a paying compliance weapon, and law enforcement, in order to be certified to carry those, we actually have to go through what you're seeing here today. We have to be tased, and I can tell you it hurts. And
Kristen didn't think it hurt nearly as much as Marcus
Kristen
did.
did it twice, I think. She enjoyed it. And that's our tower in the jail, and there's the sheriff explaining how the tower operates to the Leadership Calhoun County class.
So that sits right in the middle of where people are spending their day.
Right, outside of that are all the sections. That is our dispatch room, that's our communications center, and there you see some dispatchers working on their computers and answering phone calls. That is really the heart and soul of our patrol division. There's nothing that doesn't go through communications. They answer 18,000 phone calls, dispatch about 2,700 calls a month.
As we were sitting in there, I actually saw the address of my church pop up on the video screen there. They got a call for an emergency at our church. So they're getting it from all over the county.
We get it everywhere. We take calls everywhere in the county. And that's the long hallway down to the section of the jail that houses all the males. And it's a long walk down that hallway. There you'll see some secure doors. And there is the booking cage. Everybody that gets arrested comes through the sally port and into booking, where we have to get all your vital information and ask you all kinds of pertinent medical questions to make sure we're keeping you safe. And there's a gang of people. They're walking toward the camera and scaring me.
This is out at McClellan.
It is out at McClellan. I think what you're about to see is our canine demonstration. Is that coming up?
I believe so here, yeah.
There it is. That's one of our vapor wake dogs from the schools. It's School Resource Officer Corporal Eric Patterson. That dog can smell firearms or explosive kind of stuff that people might be carrying on them. She's very good at what she does.
She's found something apparently.
She has. And what she's trained to do is just follow that person. So it's in the backpack, and it's designed to let the handler know that, yep, there's something in that backpack, and then...
And that was planted. That wasn't just somebody in the...
Right, that was planted. That was
not
not...
in trouble.
Yeah, that wasn't just some random person. Bless her heart, she's like, why is this dog staring at me? And this is our patrol dog. This dog is designed to both find drugs, but more specifically, that is a pursuit animal. That dog will track and detain an individual that might be running. Right here, we see this dog sniffing out some planted drugs. Unlike the other dog for gunpowder or a weapon, this dog is looking for drugs. And that's Oxford Police Mobile Command Post. It's a very great piece of equipment, and it's been used not only in Oxford. Oxford shares that with every other agency in the county, including us, and it was used during the recent tornadoes in Jacksonville. So kudos to Oxford PD for having that equipment and sharing it so readily.
We got the class members got to tour several of the vehicles that are used for emergency responses here.
That's their EST team's vehicle that transports people into a dangerous scene. It's a way to get access to something that would otherwise be, if they're under fire, you got to get close so you can do something.
All right, so coming up in just a minute here, we're going to take a break here again in just a second. When we come back, we'll have the second half of this week's lineup. And then we'll also have some more clips from the Leadership Calhoun County, and we're going to hear what some of the people that spoke to the class had to say. Obviously, they had hours of material that the class got to hear. We're only going to get to hear 5 or 6 minutes of that.
Right, and if they're interested in participating, then they need to tell them how to find out how to get onto Leadership Calhoun County.
It's about time to be signing up for the new class.
Yes, it is, and it's a great class.
All right, so we'll have more of that coming up when we return on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Terry Cruz. Mr. Cruz, last known to be living in Huntsville. He's wanted for probation violation on attempted manufacture of a controlled substance, second. And this is Joshua Sanders. Mr. Sanders, last known to be living in Birmingham. He's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property, second, and possession of a forged instrument, second. And meet John Venable. Mr. Venable, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for distribution of a controlled substance, times 2. And have a look at Alicia Schutz. Miss Schutz, last known to be living in Lincoln. She's wanted for failure to appear on endangering the welfare of a child. And also take a look at Brian Locklear. Mr. Locklear, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for promoting prison contraband second. And last up in our lineup this week, Earl Kirby. Mr. Kirby, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for distribution of a controlled substance. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414.
All right, still more crime fighting to do. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show coming up in just a few minutes. But John, we're looking at the recent Leadership Calhoun County class that came through Law and Justice Day. Yep. At the sheriff's office and the jail, and also at the county courthouse and a couple of other locations. And let's hear what some of the speakers had to say on that day.
So they're going to tell you about what we do in the courthouse. Just a little quick facts. In the courthouse, these deputies at the front door scan over 15,000 people a month.
I don't want to bore you with the details, but just to give you a little bit about what the clerk does. Does anyone know what the circuit clerk is responsible for or does? Probably not. That's a good thing. That means you really haven't used the system, and that's really good because we don't want to see you here. However, some people come through with a juror summons, and that's probably their initial, if not their only, visit here to the courthouse, and that's a good thing. These are the duties of the circuit clerk. There's not enough time to go through the duties, and I don't want to bore you with all the details. But just to give you a little bit of an example of what the clerk does, I'm responsible for 20 employees. They're human resources, and I don't know if anyone are human resources, but that's a big job in and of itself. We're responsible for getting all the jurors here, for all the magistrates in Calhoun County, the appointment of all of those. We issue all felony warrants, and we're responsible for about a $25 million budget. We collect about $25 million that come in and goes out each year. And we're responsible for that. And it's important for us to make sure that I take care of your money because it's public funds.
But basically what we will do is if an officer pulls somebody over and makes an arrest, they're making a probable cause decision as to whether that person committed a crime. They then will come to the courthouse and talk to a member of Ms. McCarson's staff, who's a magistrate, that is not controlled by me or anybody else, that looks at that and determines whether the officer was right or not. And if the officer was not right, then that arrest goes away. And if the officer was right, then a warrant would issue. And if a warrant issues, then it goes to our district court. They have a preliminary hearing, and Judge McIntyre decides whether or not he agrees with the magistrate and the officer. And from there, if he agrees, he binds the case over to grand jury. And a grand jury, which is 18 people, we usually have a group come in about your size and pick 18 of them out of a lottery hopper, really. And there are 18 members of the public that come in and review our cases and see if they agree.
Family court is a very emotional situation, very emotional proceeding, so people usually don't like coming to our court. But we are there for the public, and we're there to assist in any manner and any way that we can.
CHINS, not to use acronyms, but that stands for Child in Need of Supervision. Those are basically offenses that if a person under the age of 18 commits them, it's a criminal act. But if a person over the age of 18 commits them, it's not a criminal act. For example, runaway. If you're under 18, you run away. If you're over 18, you can't run away because you're gone.
Judge Turner, myself, and Judge Jones all do jury cases. We do civil and criminal. Jury cases where you put 12 people in the box to try a case to a verdict, whether it's guilty or not guilty in a criminal case. If it's a civil case, it's one person suing another, or somebody suing a business suing a business, or whatever that combination may be. And in civil cases, they're trying to recover money damages some way.
In our cases, juries make decisions about what the facts are in the case, typically on issues of guilt, and then innocence, of course, when we're in criminal cases, and then they award money damages. But the jurisdictional limits on circuit court cases are $10,000 and above, up to multi-million-dollar cases, or whatever they decide to award.
So our officer pulled over a guy driving down the road on a regular traffic stop. He had 112 grams of heroin in a backpack with 3 pistols. Now, he had already been convicted of trafficking in heroin. He had already received a life without parole sentence, and he beat it on appeal because a federal judge said that the trial judge did not properly give him his constitutional rights because in the middle of his trial, he fired his attorney and wanted to try his own case. So the judge, doing what good judges are supposed to do, allowed the trial lawyer to stay on the case and advise him in case he needed any legal advice.
If an agency calls us and they need our assistance, whether it be a SWAT call out of a barricaded suspect or a hostage situation, an officer's been shot and the subject's barricaded, we go to those places and we assist those agencies. We are very fortunate to have the equipment to be able to do that and the manpower to be able to do that. We have two 7-man SWAT teams. Basically, we have 14 guys who are very well trained.
Everything with forensics revolves around what? Evidence, physical evidence. That's the gas that drives the bus for us. So we have to teach these officers and we have to teach ourselves to recognize something as being evidence. Everybody thinks everything's real simple. You never know what's really going to be evidence until you get the whole case together. Yeah, if somebody's shot, then boom. What are you looking for? Bullets, projectiles, cartridge casings, a gun. But a lot of cases have been made on just weird things. I mean, just associating something from the dead guy's house, finding something that matches it in the bad guy's house.
What the most important part to me about what I learned the most is how you have to apply critical thinking skills to that job field and how it's not all like, oh, I'm just going to go to the lab and run fingerprints and then boom, I have my criminal. It's like, okay, I actually have to go out here. I have to sort through very nasty people's houses because, you know, they didn't clean them and they just died. And I have to make sure that I get all my evidence there and everything's correct.
So there you go, just a little glimpse of Leadership Calhoun County Law and Justice Day.
That's a great day, and that whole program is just a wonderful, what is it, 9, 10 weeks, 10 months, once a month? I can't remember now how many days they have, but it's a whole day, and we really enjoy hosting that.
Mm-hmm. If you're interested in being part of Leadership Calhoun County, you can talk to the folks at the Chamber of Commerce and get that information. It's about time to be signing up for the new class. Yep. All right, we've got to take another quick break. When we come back, we will have the crazy criminal of the week and our Crime Stopper segment on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to help our investigators with these cases. First up, on April 13th, an iPhone 6 was stolen from a location on Stadium Drive in Alexandria. And sometime between April 9th and April 11th, this home was burglarized on Nature Trail in Jacksonville. Numerous Craftsman power tools and a Sharp microwave were stolen from that residence. And between April 14th and April 15th, a pallet of decorative rock was stolen from a residence on Holland Findlay Road in Alexandria. And between 5 p.m. on April 13th and the morning of April 16th, someone stole a DeWalt compound miter saw and a DeWalt air compressor from a storage building on Bryant Road in Ohatchee. And last up on your caseload this week, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. 12:30 p.m. on April 18th, someone broke into a shed located on Angel Drive in Jacksonville. They got away with a bunch of stuff, but we don't know exactly what at this time. So if you know anything about these cases, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414. Remember, we just want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, a lot of times people decide that they just gotta run. The police are after me. I can't let them get me. I gotta run.
Yeah, they do, and that's silly.
Especially if you're running into a swamp in Florida. Take a look at this guy. This is where he ended up. It's a good thing they ran in after him.
His thought right there is, wow, what a bad idea.
Yeah, this is a gentleman, Paul Andrew Smith, got out of his vehicle after a short chase, fled on foot into a nearby swamp, and the footage recorded by the canine handler's body camera shows the dog locating him in the swamp where he was submerged up to his neck in thick mud. It took several deputies to pull him out of the muck. I bet he didn't even say
Wow.
thank you.
He probably didn't. What a bad idea. Yeah. He'll remember that forever.
You know, quite often bad things happen when you get handcuffed and taken into custody, even if you don't resist in any way, because they're doing it because there's a problem.
Right.
But it's usually much worse if you don't just go along.
Right. I mean, don't run. It just gets everybody excited. And that ended well, really. He got his
Better
own.
than it could have.
Every action has a consequence.
It does.
Good or bad, every action has a consequence. Sometimes Mother Nature has her own consequences, and we appreciate those.
All right, that's all the time that we have for you this week. We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup or the swamp on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.